Better late than never, eh? Introduced in 2007, back when it was called the EX, the QX50 sat nearly stagnant ever since, receiving a few small upgrades and one refresh during a decade that saw the small luxury crossover rising in stature to become a dominant class in the industry. But hey, we're always willing to wait for good things, right? Hi, I'm Mike Perkins from CarGurus, and this week I've been driving the all-new 2019 INFINITI QX50. Now in its second generation, the QX50 shows up with more room, a new tech-savvy engine, and a very impressive interior. Combine that with a pricing structure that slots it below most of its European and even some of its American competition, and you've got what looks like a recipe for success. Taller and wider than last year, the now front-wheel drive based QX50 offers more ground clearance and more space inside, 13 extra cubes in fact, as the trunk has now a total of 31.4 cubic feet behind some very modular rear seats. And don't think they sacrificed rear legroom to accomplish that feat either. At 6'4", I can actually sit back here with relative comfort, and that's not something that I can usually say. Although, I will admit that this panoramic sunroof does get a little bit close up here. But as attractive as the rear of the QX50 is, it's the front of the cabin that should really get some attention. This is spacious, it's attractive, it's full of a lot of high quality materials, and it is quiet. It's really quiet. This is the top tier essential trim, and it's fitted with a $7,500 sensory package, which gets you more tech than I can list right here, plus all the visual upgrades you see, the leather and the suede and the open pore wood and the metallic trim, and it is really pretty. Of course, so is an extra $7,500 in your bank account. Plus, if you do get the sensory package, you also get 20-inch rims, which, to be honest, aren't doing a lot of favors for the ride here. Not that the ride is bad, it's actually quite nice, albeit not particularly athletic. I mean, this soaks up corners and road imperfections with equal poise. You're just never going to really feel inspired to sportiness, especially with this steering. And it feels dead. Now, this particular version has the direct adaptive steering that I hated so much in the Q60, which means that there's no mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the wheels. And at low speeds, this feels just like a steering wheel controller for a racing video game from like 1993. Now, effort does build with speed, but it doesn't do so with much consistency, so it modulates kind of strangely at times. It's something I can't seem to get used to. It's part of the same system that brings us ProPilot Assist. Now, this is a mild autonomous system that will steer, accelerate, and brake itself in a single lane, and it does work. It's actually a lifesaver in stop-and-go traffic that would otherwise have me pulling my hair out. And it's part of the $2,000 proactive package that gets you intelligent cruise, blind spot intervention, and lane departure warning and intervention as well. And there's no way to separate those. And speaking of features and packages, there's pretty much nothing available unless you go for this top-tier trim. You can add heated seats to the mid-level Luxe trim, but that's pretty much it, and that's just not good enough. I mean, sure, the QX50 starts at $36,550, but if you want anything you see here, you're already over 50 grand. And if you want any of the safety systems I mentioned, that's going to be more. And just for reference, this one here costs over 55. We've got a new 3-screen infotainment system here, which is controlled via touchscreen or these buttons or this rotary dial. And the driver information screen is so full that I would recommend saving your fiddling for when you're parked, because it is not exactly responsive either. We've got cameras, we've got parking sensors, we've got active noise cancellation. I told you it was quiet. And like I said, this one has all of the trimmings, so we've got every conceivable safety system too. But even with all of that, we still haven't touched upon the best and worst parts of the QX50. Now, the bit that's getting all the press is this engine. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4 that Infiniti boasts is the world's first mass-produced variable compression engine. For all the details, check out my review, but the basics are that this engine can raise or lower its compression to offer more power or more efficiency as needed. And that's a complicated endeavor. And while its 268 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque are absolutely impressive, the 6.4 second 0 to 60 time is still about a second slower than the outgoing V6. Not that 6.4 seconds to 60 miles an hour is slow, it seems more than enough here. No, it's the fuel economy that really disappoints. Its EPA estimated 24 city and 31 highway miles per gallon isn't exactly setting the world on fire. And with a combined rating of 27, and my real-world figure that I can't really get over 24, that's just not much of an advantage. Even though it's supposedly 35% more efficient than last year and is supposedly the most efficient non-hybrid option in the class. Also, if you add all-wheel drive for $1,800, you're going to lose another mile per gallon. Worse than that, they've mated that engine to a continuously variable transmission that just can't seem to get out of its own way. Now, to be fair, and full disclosure, I am no fan of CVTs in the best of circumstances, but this one is the worst I've experienced. It doesn't know what to do with all that power. From a stop, anything more than mild input from the accelerator results in bog and then surge and then potentially even wheel spin if you're turning or going up a hill. And it sounds like a dying animal, just moaning and groaning as all you're trying to do is accelerate like a civilized person. It does at least know what to do on the highway. There, power comes on predictably and quickly too, but around town, it is a mess, just skipping gear ratios back and forth all over the place. Oh, and one more thing. Take a look at this shifter. For some reason, Nissan has taken the park position and instead created a park button that they've placed behind the shifter. And I can't begin to imagine the benefit of that. But what I can do is guarantee that at least once while you're out driving it, you are going to pull into a parking spot, put it into what you think is park, and end up in reverse. So get ready for that little adrenaline rush. I don't understand why you would create a safety concern like that for no apparent benefit, but maybe I'm just missing it. It's a shame, but it's also slightly indicative of the entire QX50 experience, because when a car looks this good and feels this good and is priced this competitively, but then it sequesters all of its fun and safety tech up into the top tier trim alone, and the steering is that dead and the transmission is that frustrating, it's just kind of hard to recommend. Thankfully, you don't have to go for the direct adaptive steering unless it is those advanced autonomous safety systems you're after. But the CVT, that you're going to have to deal with regardless. So I would say go take it for a drive and see if it's as frustrating to you as it is to me. Hey, thanks for watching. For full details on the all-new 2019 INFINITI QX50, just click the link in the description. You can head over to CarGurus.com and read my full review. And for videos of some of the competition, well, just subscribe to the channel.